as you would have seen the pack, it is Woolies bought. We didn't go out and spear this one this morning. But these are fillets, and these are what I definitely recommend, even cooking at home in a pan, because the fillets come out a lot nicer when cooked the right way compared to like steaks. The steaks can be quite tough and quite hard to actually cook properly. So for those beginning with roux and maybe just trialing it for the first time, roux fillets are a really good one. So we're obviously going to cook this on the coals, but we need to marinate it for a little bit first. And I'm going to go through some of the herbs that we're going to use. But first, nice generous bit of olive oil. Generous dose of the olive oil. We're probably only going to just marinate it for about half an hour while we get this fire burning really nice and really hot and get some coals happening. So the first one I'm going to put in is one of our local plants. This is mountain pepper, and it's quite a well-known one now, quite a well-known food. Bush food that's used, you can even buy it in the supermarkets and stuff. So where this grows naturally in the ACT or Ngunnawal country is right up in Namadgi National Park. You've got to go for a good trek right up around the Bendora Dam area and places like that. So I'll start with a couple pinches. It has a kick. Richie and I like our food a little bit spicy, so that's fine. Really, you probably aim for about a teaspoon maybe. So that's pepper that I started with. Saltbush, very widespread again across Australia, but we have local salt bushes on Ngunnawal country as well that we can use. This one is probably the most well-known saltbush. It's called Old Man Saltbush, and it probably was found as close as Goulburn to this area. But the problem is sheep and cattle, they love it and they ate a lot of it out. So it's sort of disappeared out of the landscape a bit. But this is a really good one. It's very, very big plant, so we can get lots of leaves off it. And you can see it's almost got that sort of salty look to it. The pepper, so quite a good amount of it, because it is a little bit blander than the pepper. The pepper really has a good kick to it, so we want to mask that a bit with a good amount of that salt. Again, it's one that's not only as a food, but used medicinally. We use it when we're sick. Very good for our blood and all that sort of stuff. So that's our saltbush. What we're going to add to this is a little bit of a lemon flavour. Now, you might think that's a bit strange, but kangaroo and lemon go really, really well. So even if you don't have the traditional lemon flavours, just a lemon, squeeze the lemon juice on it. And kangaroo meat and lemon just seem to go really, really nice together. There's a few different lemon native plants that we can use. Today I've got lemon myrtle, which a lot of people know and would use. I also have used lemon gum. Lemon gum is a lemon eucalyptus, which is a really beautiful one too. And it is one that is edible when you've totally dried the leaves out and you've ground it. So not a lot of people know that some of our eucalyptus are edible when you go through that process. So there's lemon gum, there's lemon myrtle, lots of other different lemon sort of type plants around Australia. But lemon myrtle is what we're going to use today. And again, it's just going to be a bit of a pinch. The lemon myrtle is quite a strong one as well, like the pepper. So, and finally we've got to get our tongs in. And we've got to really start to turn it, marinate it really well. What's also going to really flavour this meat is actually the coals that we're going to cook it on. So it's going to seal it. Just want to make sure it's got a really good marinade on it first. And got all that oil and stuff is all soaked up. And you probably want to put this in the fridge, as I mentioned earlier, at least half an hour before cooking.
We're going to make some damper for that, or Johnny cakes, depending, like I said, on what you want to do. For that, first we start off with a bit of self-raising flour, which is what we have here, or you can just use plain flour. That, I mean, there's lots of different plants that, mobs used all around Australia to make the flour. That you can make it. So one that we use a lot, like I said, is that cauliflower bush. That's only, like I said, again, seasonal. That. the kangaroo grasses, it'll crush it all up. I don't use pinchers, I use sometimes half a handfuls and stuff like that, only because I love the taste and flavour of lemon myrtle. Now we mix it in together. The reason we mix it in together so we can get an even flavour all the way through. Usually, you mix it around. I like to even it around, using your nice clean hands. That gives a lot flavour and it sifts through a lot better. That. So it should be enough. And then, like I said, the lemon myrtle mixes all the way through. That gives it a nice in. Now, adding the water, like some people like to put, slow cups in. That me, just like good old grandma's cooking, just do whatever you feel comfortable with. So putting it in. Some like to put a hole in the centre. Give that about 30 seconds before I put another bit of water in as well. And then it should start to cling together and start to make our paste. Again, some had a little bit more. Like I said, let's start to get that up. Start to feel it getting a little bit together. Scrape it off, that. And now we'll start kneading it in. A little bit of flour on the bottom. Mixing that in together. For that, you might want to break it off, or you can make it into a big piece of, damper.
So now I'm going to put the fillets on the coals. And as we're going to show you, it's just going to cook it really beautiful and seal this meat really well. So just stick them on the coals and you can hear it sizzling. This is what we want. We want to hear that sizzle.
While our damper's cooking around the
outside. Damper's cooking around the outside, that's right.
Beautiful.
And then we just let it sit there, drizzle the rest of that beautiful marinade on top. So what we're creating here is we're going to get it really hot and we're going to get the outside sealed, really lovely. We're just going to flip it because we can start to see it almost swelling up a little bit and it's looking really good. So we'll flip it over and we can see one side starting to get a little bit hard and we want that hardness to it.
Has that same sizzling as hot stones that they use on the steaks and all that. And that's what we can hear.
So there's a little bit of an art to it. In a fry pan at home, you cut that up and you slice it into thin slices. 1.5 minutes each side is more than enough. And then let it rest. That's a big important note with kangaroos. Let it rest for a little bit on a plate before you serve it up. A lot of people like it different. Some people like it really cooked well through. But Rich and I, this is how we've done it. We love it. A lot more, a little bit more rarer, I guess. So,
at home, like I said, when I'm doing things, I like to use the slow cooker. I'll cook it for about 6 to 8 hours, then I'll flick it off, let it sit in its juices overnight. So come 10 o'clock in the morning, if I'm having lunch about 12 midday or 1 o'clock, what I do is I'll flick it back on like that and let it heat up again. But every half hour I turn it over like that. So I'll pull it up, flick it over, and let it evenly both sides like that. And at the end when it's fully come lunchtime, it becomes pulled apart kangaroo. Like that.
Everyone loves their pulled pork and that. Well, there's pulled kangaroo.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
With lots of your hearty vegetables because it's a bit cold at the moment for salad. Even though we're doing a salad today, it's getting into that time of year where you just want nice potatoes and sweet potato and carrots and stuff like that. So that's a good one for that. A local, I guess, salad or vegetable plant that would have been used and is still used by the Ngunnawal people and is found very widely across this landscape. Black Mountain's a really good place for it. Is one of the local salt bushes. So this is it here. And at the moment, it's got tiny little red berries on it. They're only very small, and I'll show you them in a minute, but they pack quite a sweetness to them. So we're going to add a little bit of that into our salad as well. The leaves aren't as salty as the salt bush we've been using on the kangaroo, but As you can see, they're kind of almost like a vegetable, like a green spinach leaf. So how this would be harvested traditionally, and it's generally probably the women and the kids would go out with their coolamans in the morning or whatever, and you can bring the plant over. You can harvest some of those lovely berries straight into there, and some of those leaves as well, those nutritious leaves. And we never try and cut too much of the plant and take too much, because that's not the way that we do it in the old ways. It's more about just taking what you need and not what you greed. So, and then we'll mix that in with our other salad leaves. But yeah, there's lots of different plants that have the edible leaf that we could use traditionally, I guess, as a bit of a salad type veg. But like I kind of mentioned, that was more, the leaf was more taken just to give us that good medicine in our body. So, and then there are some of those lovely leaves as well. You know, you can grab any sort of lettuce from the shops or in your gardens, whatever you've got. We're just using a nice mixed lettuce there today. Chuck that in. So what we're actually going to do with this salad is we'll put some of the roux through it that we're going to put in here. So this is what you can do at home. If you're cooking roux on the fry pan or whatever, you can then make it into a lovely salad that, you know, you can give to the family and stuff. So we've got our lettuce leaves in there. This is my traditional chopping board on the rock here. Not a traditional knife though. So we do have tomatoes that grow in Australia, bush tomatoes. Unfortunately, we're not in the season for it at the moment, so I couldn't grab any of them and show you those. But we do have a local variety as well. I'll grab a little bit of this cucumber. What I'd probably equate to cucumber in terms of native plants is some of our pig faces. And if they're picked at the right time, the pig faces, they're very much just like a cucumber. Lovely, beautiful tasting, the leaves that is. So get some of this cucumber, nice and chunky. You might want to dice it up a bit better if you're a bit fussy. Avocado is always nice because it gives it a little bit of softness and stuff to it, to the salad. And with the kangaroo too, avocado goes really nice with the kangaroo. So we'll just slice that straight up, straight in like that. So the dressings we're going to use is a little bit of white wine vinegar, but we're not into the measuring, so I'm just going to do a bit of a dash of it. Kind of, I guess, similar to what you would maybe do with olive oil or with balsamic. So kind of a generous amount, about that. And then we're also going to use a bit of this honey Dijon mustard. Give it a shake. This is all stuff you can just buy in the shop. Again, probably about a tablespoon of that. You don't want too much of it. Quickly roast these macadamias, and that'll give it a real crunch in the salad. It's real lovely. Now, obviously, macadamias are a traditional food. A lot of people don't realise, but the macadamia is from Queensland, the tree. So that's a bit of bush tucker in there as well. Most of our roux is almost done. We've got one bigger piece left, but I'm going to quickly just roast these macadamias. So a little bit of olive oil. Now we do need a pan, obviously, because the macadamia is too small to do straight on the coals. But we'll put this pan over the top here. Get this steaming a bit. And again, obviously you can do this at home without a fire. At home, probably a sort of a low heat, and we just want a bit of colour to them. You know, obviously here locally, and Richie can attest to this, like the Ngunnawal people would use like currajong seed, and so would my people, Wiradjuri people, because the currajong grows across both our countries, like all over the place. So that was one of the local seeds or nuts, you know. So obviously different places you would use different things. The macadamia is obviously a Queensland, so the mob up in Queensland use macadamia traditionally. You obviously bunya nut too, beautiful one, yeah.
Currajong seeds, you can, you know, crush them down, use them for coffees, or put them in, use them as a garnish, you know. I like to, especially when I slow cook the kangaroo, I like to, you know, put a bit of Greek yogurt over the top of it and then garnish it off with the currajong seeds as well. It gives that nice flavour to it.
We have lots of beautiful teas, don't we? Beautiful natural native teas. But I've chosen one today that's a bit of an energy tea, and that's our Banksia and the flowers we use. Soak it in a coolant in a dish with water, even just cold water, all the way through overnight. And then the next morning, you get up, you have a drink of that, and there's your energy, your natural energy for the day. So I'm going to pour a couple glasses here. And look at that colour, almost like the flower itself.
And how long has this been brewing for, Adam?
And so they've been soaking in this thermos for a couple of hours now. Now, not only this, but we have Hardenbergia, we have peppermint gum, beautiful traditional medicine teas available through Toak and Ngunnawal. Cheers. So this is straight out now, this damper, and it's beautiful and crunchy. And what we might do today is we might actually turn it into some croutons and chuck them through the salad, fatten up that salad a bit, and rather than have it on the side. So we can just chop it up and basically like your croutons, and it's just getting really beautiful crunchy. It's still lovely and moist in the inside there.
We want a hard texture on the outside, but when we break it up, it's nice and like a little bit moist like that, and that's how we eat it, like that, because the flavours, from the traditional plants, it keeps it moist, especially when we're using fire, and that's why fire is such an important tool for us. That lemon myrtle, when we give it a taste and a crunch.
Beautiful. These little ones are done, and you can see when you push them, spring back a bit, but they're a little bit hardened. So now what we've created is that beautiful charcoal on the outside. Inside, when Richie cuts into that though, it's going to be lovely, moist, and still really, really juicy. And like I said, we'll let it just rest on that plate for a little bit, and then cut it up and stick it in the salad. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Look at that. So exactly how we want it, nice and sealed. All right, so we're going to plate it up now. And at home you just go for it, chuck it in, but we might make it look a little bit presentable for the camera. So nice little bit of Master Chef style here. Make sure you get some of the nuts. Make sure you obviously get that kangaroo meat in there. A little bit of damper on the side. And you know what? It probably doesn't need it, but can always do with a bit of extra salt. So a bit more salt bush just on top to give it a little bit of a garnish. And look at that. Beautiful kangaroo cooked on the coals, damper cooked on the coals, salad with all those beautiful bush flavours. And so there you have it. Adam and Richie's bush cooking.